Hey, everybody. Welcome to our first interview. I would like to introduce Colin. Colin has been on his journey for quite a long time. He is eloquent in his delivery of his wisdom, the knowledge that he's gained along the way, and we're very eager to share some of his insights with all of you today. So, welcome, Colin.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here with both of you and with everybody else.
Yeah. Well, you've been obviously inspiring to people on the channel. And even though we're just kind of kicking it off and getting started, you're making a difference. And part of this interview series is allowing members, who have so much to offer and share, to be a support system and serve others. And we really do appreciate your time. So maybe I'll just kick it off, Colin, and why don't you just describe a little bit about yourself and your backstory?
Well, my backstory is I have a 17-year-old daughter who thinks she's 30. So she's my pride and joy.
Right.
For many years, I worked in corporate America, always worked in some sort of leadership positions, led teams of people, typically either on the operational pieces or sales pieces. That's kind of what I've always kind of done. That was I always told people I could always just kind of play. I always just kind of do the job. I don't know how I was good at what I did, or I can't say like, oh, I worked really hard and I slaved in all these hard positions. I feel very fortunate. I'm very lucky and I'm very grateful for the life that I've had because, I know some people have had very hard lives and gone through some very tough things. And, I've had my challenges, but a lot of people I know have had it way worse than me. So I'm very grateful. But that's kind of, what my life was prior to this experience and my awakening. So I would say my awakening, and I remember I used to talk to Andrea about this. My awakening was definitely forced. And I think now when I look back on it, I can see where the universe was nudging me, right, in the direction, like trying to get me to wake up or whatever the case may be. And
Right.
As you might imagine, I was a very stubborn person at one point in time and didn't want to do things that I didn't want to do. But it was definitely this completely forced awakening. Prior to this, I never heard of a twin flame, didn't know what it was, didn't know it existed. I was not in the spiritual community in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, I would have been someone who said, "Well, that's hokey. I don't believe in that. That's not real." Now I wear like these beads and bracelets. People are like, "Oh, you believe in that?" I'm like, "It's not belief. I know it.
You're right.
You know something, you don't have to believe it, right?" So, yeah, as we talked many times, we experienced a lot of the same things on this journey, just in much, much different ways. And my story, I think, is very unique as well compared to a lot of other people's. So most times in this journey of the twin flame, you hear that, oh, it's a 4 to 6 to 8 week kind of thing. And then, it's like the bubble love phase or whatever. Well, mine was more like 15 months. But we lived 6 hours apart. And if you break it down, I probably saw that person for a period of 6 to 8 weeks and 15 months because we didn't have the ability to see each other. But my whole experience to that was I grew up with that person, ran in my friend circle. Nothing was ever, we graduated high school, went our separate ways. A friend of mine died, right? A friend of mine died. I came back to a funeral. This person was there. And then, the rest happened, and it wasn't by happenstance, obviously.
It happened exactly when it was meant to, right?
Absolutely, because now I know now that everything is happening for you. It's happening as it has to happen. It can't be any other way. So you don't want to wish for it to be a different way because then you're setting an expectation of how you want something to be.
Yeah, and you're resisting what is, which is creating a negative perspective on something that you can easily flip around and recognize can have a positive perspective. That's part of the process of the journey. It opens our eyes to the fact that we create our reality by what you're just talking about.
Absolutely. Well, we're always creating that reality, but most of the time we just don't know it because you're manifesting unconsciously, right? So now I'm manifesting consciously, and I'm very good at now surrendering, accepting, and allowing, right? And I never say no to the universe. When the universe brings someone or something or some opportunity to me, I entertain it. I use my discernment. I can go, is this going to be good for me or not good for me? Or, is it harmful or anything like that? And then I just allow it to be whatever it is for as long as it is. whether it's a 10-minute conversation or maybe this is somebody I spent 10 years with. It'll be whatever it's to be because I have literally zero expectations of what it's supposed to be or what it needs to be, right? So I'm very much good about that now. And I think the cool thing about this journey that like a lot of people that I didn't realize that parts of it's not linear. It's a crooked, weird, up and down, backwards line. You will like feel like you're going backwards. You will feel like, why do I keep entertaining this negative behavior pattern of mine, right? Because it is a pattern, because it's what you've done in the past to address your issues and soothe or cope. So whether that be drinking or smoking or eating or drugs or sex or whatever people's things are, but as that's happening, I'm more keenly aware that it's happening, and I know I'm aware it's bad for me, right? So
more and more aware, right?
yeah. So what my experience has shown me, and that's another thing this journey teaches you, that everything in life is experiential, right? You could tell me, hey, skydiving's awesome. And I can go read 20 books on it and watch 20 YouTube videos, but until I skydive, I'm not going to know what skydiving, it's the same thing. So people can only kind of relate to you from their level of consciousness. That's the hard part for us when you go through the awakening. So many people around you are at such a different level of consciousness now than you are. Doesn't mean you're better. You're just in a different place and you're seeing things differently. You're seeing things as they are, not as you've been taught that they're supposed to be, right?
Right. There's a big difference. But even then, we kind of have to look at that and go, we're still perceiving what we're calling reality. That's something that can still change and morph as our consciousness continues to elevate and grow as well. So there's no ceiling to this that I've noticed. And
No.
those patterns that keep coming up, one of the ways that I like to look at that is your mind is kind of like a computer. It has a database of information. And so when certain situations show up in our life, the mind searches the database on how to react, which is why you can sometimes have that same pattern show up more than once. But the more, like Eckhart Tolle always says, suffering is only necessary until it no longer is. So those patterns only show up until we see them with such clarity, like what you're saying, that we can actually avoid them or let them go.
Yeah, for sure. And then, people, that's a really good term, Andrew. When people go, oh, how do I let go? It's different for everybody. Somebody might be able to let go of something, an attachment, or something that's bad for them much quicker than somebody else, right? Because all of our journeys are just different. It's on a different timeline, but you just have to trust that you're on the right timeline. And every single person that you experience, you're supposed to. Every single person is a reflection of you. It's a good litmus test for you, right? To see where you're at and what you might, if you do attract someone in your reality that you don't, you use your discernment, you're like, oh, this isn't good for me. That's a good time for you to look inward and go, what about that person is going on inside of me? Why did that universe bring that person to me? It's not a lesson. Yeah, it's not a lesson to learn. It's to help show you that this person is a reflection of you in some way, shape, or form. So I use that now to go, oh, I didn't like that experience. So then I go, well, do I have some work to do? Am I not treating myself well? If that person doesn't treat me well, I'm not, and that's, I feel like I'm rambling a little bit because, it goes wherever, but the whole beauty of this whole twin flame journey, which I use the term other self because it just resonates better for me, right? That I'm just having another experience at the same time that this one's happening. The beauty of it is like every time something happens, you have these things happen. When they come back, they always come back at some point in time, right? There's this complete leveling up and you're a completely different person than you were before. And the thing that I noticed that goes along with that, whenever I have these breakthroughs where I can look at it and go, and because I'm aware and I'm observing what's happening, right? I look at it and I go, wow, every one of them correlates to me being more and more in control of my emotions and in control of my reality than I was before. Right? Nothing's reactionary for me anymore. I choose how to respond in every situation.
A powerful way to be able to interact, because being emotionally reactive can lead you into danger points. But I was going to just circle back around to see if you agree. Andrea has done so much study and been very thoughtful about twin flames. And I think her the fact patterns and what she has experienced with thousands of twin flames would lead her, and correct me if I'm wrong, Andrea, to believe that the twin flame experience might be the stepping stone to something else, your awakening, you know, a more conscious, observant self, and that the twin flame in itself may not be the primary thing that the universe is trying to guide you toward. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I wholeheartedly 100% agree. It's not about them, because them is you anyway. So it is about guiding you back to remembering who you are, which takes you to your true authentic self, which is what the world needs from you, whatever that is. Everybody has a gift, right? You can be like, you can have things you're good at and you're passionate about, right? And I can do things I'm passionate about to make money, leading teams of people or at those companies, or, you know, I'm a poker player. I can play poker to like make money. I'm passionate about it. But God, universe, source didn't put me on this planet to do those things. I know what I'm here to do, and I'm actually doing it with both of you right now. And I know that it's a knowing. I don't believe. I don't have to guess anymore. I know that I'm here to speak to and heal people through my words. Now, wherever that takes me and however it takes me, I'm just allowing that to happen. That's what that whole, and, you know, we talked earlier, Brent, about, is it a cataclysmic experience? Yeah, I went through this horrific end to what I thought was a romantic relationship, which at the time it was. It turns out that's not what it was about at all.
Right.
It was to turn me into who I am, to see who I really am, to know who I really am. And as I'm remembering that, I'm forgetting who I never was, which was the
Right.
ego version of me that I created to
Mm.
survive in my family structure, my school structure, my work structure, society, the programming, to
Right.
survive in that world, that 3D world that I now feel I'm in this world, but not of it. And it's almost like when I go out into the world, it's like I'm watching a movie a lot of the time, almost like I'm not in it, like I'm standing still and all these things are moving around and I'm observing. And the beautiful part about it for me was like, it allows you to see everything for what it is, not to see people for what they are, but to see the tree and the grass, you know, the star, whatever it is, all these things I never noticed before.
Well, you
That,
did, but you got older. When you're little, right? And you're young, all that stuff is like crazy and new. I mean, look at the way a baby looks at their hands and they're like, whoa, you
yeah,
know, it's now you've gone back. It's a return to innocence. It's a
yes,
going back to who you were before the world came in and told you who you were. Before the world came in and labeled you and then got you looking at all these labels. You're going back to really seeing things with like that freshness and gratitude. Like you can be so grateful in these moments where you're just present with what is and the beauty of creation around you. And then you recognize even in your worst moments, you were never surrounded by anything but abundance.
because that's what we are. You are abundance, you are joy, you are love, you are light, and it's your birthright to have all of those things. All you have to do is really, really, really feel like that's the case. And like, and I, you know, I've done things. I used to say affirmations every morning in the mirror to convince myself that I was worthy, to convince myself that I, you know, I used to have like these body shame issues, like because I was overweight. Like, yeah, okay, I convince myself of these things, but I can honestly say that every day now I get up and I choose to feel good.
Yeah.
Do I have bad moments in the day? Of course. Do I find resistance? Of course. This world is dense that we're participating in, right? The energy can be heavy, but I choose to feel good. And I really, really do. It's not like fake. And like a lot of people I come in contact with, it's kind of off-putting to them. They don't know how to receive you. Like they want the energy, they want the love, they want the light. For a short period of time, they can, and it seems like after a short period of time, many of them just can't deal with it. And they quote unquote reject you. Rejection doesn't bother me though, because I know it's the other person, not me, right? But it's, I really feel great every day. I feel fantastic. And if this experience with that other person hadn't happened, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. And I wouldn't feel the way I feel now. And I wouldn't be creating this most incredible, amazing life where these manifestations and things that I 9 months ago said, this is what I want. This is how I want my life to be. And didn't try to control how it happened. And then the universe just said, okay, boop, okay. Boop. All these things are starting to like happen. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, it really works. Like, this is how it works. But to quote a former mentor of ours, you have to tear down the piece of shit shack before you can build the new one.
Yeah.
And that's always stuck with me. And it is 100% true. I mean,
Yep.
this time, you know, a year and a half ago, I was like $50,000 in debt. A year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And now I don't have a job, and I don't have any debt.
So cool. So cool, Colin.
It's absolutely amazing. But if you tell, a lot of times, you know, as you know, Andrea, if you tell someone who's not been down this journey, they don't believe you.
Well,
Can't do that.
yeah, they can't because they don't have that level of consciousness. It's like, to me, it's like if I was to go and try to talk to like a brain surgeon or somebody who was highly experienced in a certain area of life, you know, they've gone through so much in order to gain the level of knowledge that they have, that trying to sit down and like explain all of that to me in an hour or in a conversation it's impossible, right? It's something that you have to go through and experience, and that takes a period of time. So, you know, you have to be patient with yourself while you're on this journey. There's a part of you in the beginning that just wants so badly to, like, you know, go from point A to point B like that.
Get it done.
And the beauty is in the journey, right?
Yeah.
The beauty is in the journey. So that's why we always say embrace your journey or trust the journey, because it's leading you someplace that you actually already are. You recognize once you, I guess, get there, but there's really no getting there because there is no ceiling to this. But you just start to come into that awareness. Okay, it's always been there. It's always been my birthright. I was the only thing that cut myself off from it. And it was through limiting beliefs and perceptions that were given to me at life at a younger age, and when I wasn't able to understand these things. And that was still all part of the process and necessary and valuable as well.
Right.
So just in helping others who might be watching this, you know, in a micro sense, how do you begin your journey on a daily basis? So when you wake up in the morning, you mentioned about previously doing affirmations and things like that. Is there anything you do now to set yourself right for a good spiritual day?
Yeah, I mean, structures I think is like really important, and I will tell you that it's one thing that I've struggled with my whole life. Is to I'm a very free spirited, freewheeling. I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it kind of person. So, but it's important for me, especially to have some sort of dedicated spiritual practice. For me, and I tell everybody this, without a doubt, meditation saved my life.